Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa amalan mutaqabbala wa rizqan tayyiba. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. As-salatu was-salamu ala rasulillah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us another opportunity that we can gather and just discuss a few ayahs. I was thinking about a topic for this week, and this surah came to my mind. I really like these first few ayahs of the surah, and it basically it will cover a few topics, as I said in the group as well, that a few topics that you girls give me a list of. It will cover some of them as well. And I feel that personally it should cover everything, because it includes these first few ayahs include in them a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that how he wants to see us, like what we are supposed to do, or you can say what should be our priorities as a Muslim, as a human being, and as a Muslim, inshallah ta'ala. So I won't go into too much detail or too much tafsir, just putting it out there, and then I will definitely like all of you to participate, and if there's anything you want to add or you want me to discuss or you want to discuss, inshallah ta'ala. So Surah Muminoon, it is a Makkan surah. So just quickly reminding everyone that the Quran has two kinds of surahs, Makkan surahs and Madani surahs. So Makkan surahs, as the name says, Rasulullah ﷺ was in Makkah when these surahs were revealed, and Madani surahs are when he migrated to Medina from Makkah, and all the Quran that was revealed in Medina is called the Madani Quran. He spent 13 years in Makkah as a prophet. He was there from before, but as a prophet, he spent 13 years in Makkah and 10 years in Medina. So, and generally speaking, if you look at the Makkan and the Madani Quran, I think I've mentioned it before, the Makkan Quran will have shorter ayahs, and it will focus more on like basically the basic qualities a human being or a Muslim should have. So the fear of Allah, or oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the akhirah, the hellfire, the Jannah, the prophets, these basic pillars of our deen. It focuses more on that. There are other issues discussed as well, but this is the main focus. And in the Madani Quran, it deals more with how to live as an individual and as a part of a society, and our relationships and everything. So more as how to live in this world is more discussed more in Madani Quran. So this surah, it is not a long surah, 118 ayahs, but you'll see the ayahs are really not that long. The first 10 ayahs, they tell us the qualities of, as the name of the surah is Mu'minoon. Mu'minoon are the believers. So one like beautiful thing when I learned about it and I realized, and then it changed my perspective about this ayah or the surah or this word in general. So Mu'minoon is basically like the believers. As I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes uses the words Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, or he uses the word yu'minoon. So yu'minoon and aminu, these are verbs in Arabic. Verbs in Arabic are called fi'l. So verbs are temporary, meaning if I am eating something now, it's not that I'm going to be eating forever now, or like I'm just going to eat maybe for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Once I'm done, that action is done. Then I might be doing some other action. But mu'minoon is a noun. And as in English, we know in Arabic as well, noun is more permanent. Noun is stronger, noun is permanent. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word mu'minoon here, it is a permanent quality. It's not that temporary. If he uses yu'minoon, it means that yes, we sometimes have those qualities of iman, but at other times we might be doing something that is not part of our iman. So there is a chance of in and out, in and out. But when mu'minun is generally speaking somebody who has a very strong iman, or he who has worked really hard to get there, and then generally they are on the right track. They will still go here and there, they will still make mistakes, all those things are still going to be there, but generally speaking, their focus is on the right path. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, certainly will the believers have succeeded. Qad means certainly, indeed, and like it's emphasis. And aflaha, just I'm not going to go. Don't get confused with all the meanings that I'm telling. Only a few words. I will focus on the meaning because it makes more sense. Aflaha, the root words for aflaha, fa'alam, ha, the basic of the Arabic meaning of this word, it has to do with a farmer. So muflih is a farmer, and when so fala means that it's two meanings. So first, when the farmer sows the seed, he tear opens the land before the seed is sowed. And once the seed is sown, then he does all these things. He waters them and he protects them, and whatever is needed, sprays them with all the pesticides and puts the manure in, whatever the process is. And then in the end, he tears open the ground again to take the fruit or the vegetable or the crop out of the ground. That is a complete success, the sowing part and the taking out. So how did it turn into this? That قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, the success of a Muslim or a mu'min is that they have gone through all the process. It's not easy to be a mu'min. We are tested every day. But we consistently try and try and try. So at the end, the result is, and it's going to be mentioned in these few ayahs as well, the result is Jannat al-Firdaus. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, notice the translation as well, believers have succeeded. The fi'l that has been used, the way the ayah is written, it is that if you are a mu'min, meaning you're truly trying to be a mu'min, you have already succeeded. You're done. Like you're already there. You already have the Jannah. You already have been granted. Like it's not that you still have to work. Meaning that does not mean that one day I'm going to get up and say, okay, today I'm a perfect mu'min. Now I can do whatever because Jannah is already mine. That's not what it means. It means that you know now how to go about your life, focusing on the right path. You will still make mistakes, but then you will turn back again. You make a mistake, you turn back again. You know the whole process and you're not oblivious to it, that what am I supposed to do? Second ayah, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from here onwards, he is going to tell us about some qualities that a mu'min should have. So now this is going to be a checklist for me and for you. We're not going to think about other people. Okay, yeah, check, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do this. And we are thinking about other people. This is a checklist for myself. Am I doing it, or am I following it, or I'm not following it? This is something that can remind me where my weaknesses are. So in the second ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they who are during their prayer humbly submissive. So this word khashi'un, again, notice, I just want to point out, this is again a noun. Even if you don't know the meaning, this is the noun form of the word. So it is noun, means it's permanent. It is long lasting. So those who fi salatihim. Now this is basically the grammatically what it means. Every single salah, in every single salah, they are fearful of Allah. Khushu means to be fearful of Allah, to be like focused. And people who are mu'minun of that level, they have reached a point where they have khushu in each and every salah that they pray. That's their like they have achieved that goal. So everyone will have a different level. So some people will be doing their wudu perfectly, but in their salah, their mind wanders off, and then they bring it back, and then so everyone will have a different level of khushu. But some people will have more, like they will have khushu in two of their salahs, but the third one they got distracted, or their mind was in some like um, uh, busy with something, and they had their minds of. I'll give you an example. Sometimes what takes my mind off, if I have forgotten to turn the stove off, and I have something on the stove, and after doing my niyyah, I realize, okay, I didn't turn it off. Now my salah will not have that much khushu, because my mind is somewhere else. Sometimes when you have young kids, your mind is with them, or it can be anything. It can be anything. Somebody once mentioned that if you want to try and have some khushu in your salah, try to do your wudu at least 15 to 20 minutes before your salah. Leave everything alone, your phone, your work, anything that you're doing, if you're able to. Of course, people who are at work or people who are busy somewhere, it will be hard for them. I'm talking about if you do have time. This is one way of getting khushu. Just leave everything 15, 20 minutes before salah and sit in the place where you are going to pray, and just try to focus. Try to maybe focus on the Quran or do zikr, something that will make your mind like focus on what you're about to do. Because we need to remind ourselves every time we stand in prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us. He watches us. He listens to what we are saying. We are basically talking to him. We are making this dua to him. So every time we need to remind ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. I try to focus as much as I can. So if we have time, just sit at that place. And that is one way of getting khushu. So khushu is when, like, sometimes we are so much in fear that we get goosebumps, or our heart is racing, or like sometimes when we see, let's say, if you see a dog and you're really scared of dogs, they, that happened to me also. It can happen that you just freeze. You don't know what to do. And that's the kind of fear. Like, so when you're praying that you're fearful of Allah. So it has to go both ways. So fearing Allah, and then you should be at peace with Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, even if I make a mistake, He's there. He'll forgive me. I'm trying to do my best. So it doesn't mean that you're scared, or like in a way that you can't even say the surahs or do the salah properly. Being scared or being afraid or being fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means that I'm going to try and focus in my salah as much as I can, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me. So this is something that will help us in making our salah with, like, praying in khushu. Okay. And وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ, and they who turn away from ill speech. They mentioned speech only, but this can include lagh is not only speech, it can include other things as well. It can include some actions or anything else that is inappropriate. Again, mu'ridun, it is again a noun. It is not a fail, meaning you always try to do this. You always try to stay away from ill speech or inappropriate, like watching or listening. It has to do with anything. Love is anything that will not benefit you in this dunya or in the akhirah. That is what love is. Anything. So sometimes some people, they have a habit of talking and talking and talking and talking without purpose. Without purpose. Meaning whatever you're saying is neither beneficial to you in this dunya or to anyone in this dunya or in the akhirah. It's just, as we say in Urdu, like a fazul talk, fazul talk. So people who are, and try to remember what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with muminoon, that muminoon have succeeded. So muminoon are the ones who have khushu in their salah. Like when they're praying, they are fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they also stay away from ill speech. They stay away from. So now, for example, remember always in like what we are supposed to be doing in our free time as much as we can. Not, it's not, there's no limit, or you can say there's no number, but our free time, we should try to spend it in the dhikr of Allah, meaning remembering Allah. It can be in any form. It can be reading the Quran, it can be listening to the Quran, it can be praying nawafil, it can be doing the tasbih, it can be in any form, learning about the deen or anything. That should be mostly how our free time should be spent. Of course we will sleep, of course we will meet people, of course we will do our other duties, of course we will relax. But when our the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah, when that takes a back seat, that's what why when we start indulging in love. Another example, we all have phones in our hands, we have our iPads or tablets or computers, laptop, whatever. So games is also a distraction, especially for younger people. And then watching movies or Netflix or social media in any other way, Instagram or TikTok or what. These things take up so much of our time. If one day, I don't know, like everyone has their own thing. I'm not saying that everyone is wasting their time, but sometimes that I do with myself, like I will check my phone to see how much time I spent on doing what on my phone, because I use my phone to do my research as well, to study, to read Quran. I do all of these things as well. But of course, while doing that, sometimes I will be on social media just to check or to contact somebody. I will do that, all of it. But then one day I will open my phone and check, okay, how much time did I spend on which things? And if you do that too, you will realize that we don't even realize how much time we waste doing something that is neither beneficial in this dunya nor in the akhirah. It's just a wastage of time. It is just love. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying the mu'minoon who are succeeding, they are the ones who turn away from ill speech. They see people doing it, they don't want to be a part of it. They sit there with them for a bit and then they part. They part their ways, or they do something else, or they try to convince other people to do something else too. So this is another quality. And they who are observant of zakah. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِلزَّكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. Again, fa'ilun and zakat. Zakat, when we hear the word zakat, the first thing that comes into our mind is zakat. Zakat that we give the 2.5% of our earnings or whatever. This is not what it means here. Zakat, basically the word zakat or the word zakah means to purify. It means to purify. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about that zakah, that we give the money and whatever, he uses the word ita as zakah, to give zakah. Ita is zakah, to give, ati. Ata or ati, to give. Here he says fa'ilun. Fa'ilun means to do. It's an action. So people who do zakah means what? Meaning they consistently try to purify themselves as a human being. What bad habits I have that I must try to remove from my personality, or what good habits I don't have that I need to develop that will help me in the akhirah and in this dunya. Of course, who doesn't like a person who is soft spoken, or who smiles, or who is nice to talk to, or who is humble, or who looks after you, or who keeps their promises, or they're nice to you, or they are helpful? Who doesn't like that? There's nobody who can say that, okay, I don't like those habits. I don't like a person who has those characteristics. Nobody's going to say that. So somebody who can, for example, let's say once we start doing the zakah of our personality, we will find so many habits that we will realize, oh, I do that. Yes, that's not a very good thing to do. Maybe I don't know, maybe somebody's in a habit of using bad language, and it has become a part of their, like when they speak, they don't even realize they're saying it. Like, for example, sometimes the Arabs, they have this habit of saying wallahi, by Allah. So wallahi, and they don't, it has become a habit. It doesn't mean that they are taking an oath by Allah all the time. It just has become a habit. And you will see sometimes young people, they have a habit of using some really, really bad words as part of their speech. And sometimes they don't realize it. So when you start doing this purification process with yourself, you will realize, oh, I use bad words. Oh, I overspend. Oh, I am really disrespectful to my parents. Or I am not very nice with my spouse. Or I am really always angry with my kids. Or I don't use the right language. Or I am being lazy with my salah. Or anything. Like this can be so many things. And they say a human being is like an onion, meaning not in the way of the smell of the onion, but in how, like, there's so many layers to an onion. So once, let's say, you take off the outer layer, so you decided, okay, I have this bad habit. Okay, you try to work on that, and then you realize, oh, the reason I was doing this was because I have this bad habit. So, for example, it's really hard for let's say, for somebody to wake up or for Fajr. Oh, I'm missing my Fajr very frequently. I'm going to try and make sure I pray my Fajr. And then I realized that one of the reasons that I'm missing my Fajr is that I sleep late. I sleep really late. That is another habit that I need to change. And this when we realize that, okay, I'm going to try and sleep early, that will make me think, oh, I think we eat our dinner very late. It has to be a bit earlier, so I have time to clean up and like have time to digest and sleep. So this is how it works. When we start working on one thing, it leads to another. How we can, and this is how we do a cleansing of ourselves, just like we do we have a usually people have don't have that much, but people usually have a cleansing routine before going to bed. So this is how, if we can do that cleansing of our inner soul, of our personality, of our character, if we keep on doing it every day in little by little, it will turn us into somebody then that will find it easier to stay away from love, the ill speech, or anything that is inappropriate. Mu'ridun basically means to, like, you hear somebody talking like talking bad or watching something, and you just pass by them. You just don't stay there. You stay away from them. And this zakah, fa'ilun, meaning doing zakah, doing, purifying yourself, cleansing yourself, and doing it. Of course, it all becomes overwhelming when we try to do everything at the same time. These are all steps. These qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning of the mu'minoon, it won't come overnight. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent 13 years in Makkah as a prophet, and only a handful of people became Muslims. And the Quran was revealed in 23 years, almost 23. That means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows some people, maybe they are at a point where they overnight their heart changes and they become moment, like overnight. But not everyone is at the same level. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't expect us to change overnight. But these are the qualities we can aspire to have. And they who guard their private parts. Those who guard their private parts. I'm going to say the next ayah and then do both of them together. Except from their wives or those their right hands possess, for indeed they will not be blamed. So we need to remember one thing. So this ayah number 6, it is also one of those ayahs that non-Muslims and some Muslims as well take it out of context, and this is one of those ayahs that they use against Islam. So we as Muslims, we need to understand where this is coming from. And even, let's say, this is something that we don't understand, we still believe these are the words of Allah and there's truth in it, even if we don't understand. So this part I'm going to explain first. The right hand possesses. So before Islam came, it was a very common, you can say, part of that society, the Arab world, to have slaves, women slaves and men slaves. It was very common. And a slave was looked upon like by the master, whoever owned the slave, they used to look at their slaves as a possession, as a thing, like for example, or as an animal. So just as they owned a sheep or a cow or a house, they will consider these slaves just like those things, material things, and they will treat them in a way, whichever way they wanted to treat them, and nobody would say anything. This was quite normal for everyone. And then Islam came. When Islam came, it didn't just overnight ask everyone to, okay, leave whatever you were doing and just do this. It didn't happen overnight. So even after Islam, people did have slaves. Even people who became Muslims, they had slaves. Some of them let them free, some of them did not, because the ruling did not come that, like, of all the rules and regulations of Islam or how to be a Muslim. So people did have. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them this permission that first ayah says, guard their private parts, meaning furujihim, hafizun, guarding, protecting your anything. It's not only your private parts, meaning protecting your haya, being shameful, meaning having shame, meaning, you know how in this society it is slowly, it was not there initially as well, it's going away slowly and slowly. And even Muslim uh, youth or older people, it doesn't matter, whoever it is, having haya is looked down upon. People are said, okay, you're so backwards, or you are like, we use a word in Urdu, it's pendu. Pendu means like in, yeah, mocking, like somebody who doesn't know anything, saying they don't know anything, they're not moving with the world, where the world is going. So anything that can lead to shamelessness is, we try to avoid. That's also a quality of somebody who is a mu'min. So anything, it can include our attire. You know, you also wanted to discuss the hijab or the modesty. So modesty has a role to play in it. If we are not modest, that means haya is not there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given guidelines for both men and women, how they should be dressed up, how they should behave, how they should behave in front of the opposite gender. These are all guidelines that have been given to us through the Quran and the Sunnah. So muminoon, this is another quality of them, they guard them. So guarding, of course we all guard them. We don't go outside and leaving our like showing or whatever. We guard them. What this means is, even those things that might lead into something where our haya will be violated, we avoid that too. So the way we dress, the way we talk to somebody, or the way we walk, or the language that we use, or the company that we keep, or the places that we go, we have to know the boundaries. It's not that like we are not supposed to leave our houses. No, we go out, we live in this dunya, and this goes for both. Meaning, men have to lower their gazes, men have to dress properly, and women have to lower their gaze as well, and women have to dress properly as well. It's not either or. Both of them have been ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to behave and dress a certain way. We can't blame anyone else. So the first part of this ayah is that except from their wives. So wives, this is the halal way. You can be romantic with your spouse. Not only wives, it can be their spouse. So, and you can be romantic with them, spend time being good to them. This is a halal way of doing it. That's where you should satisfy all the needs. You don't have to go out and satisfy. We know people, especially, and I won't even say it's only men, women, and men both. They can both fall into that category where they look for these things outside of marriage. They have a wife at home or a husband at home, and they look, and a few years back, I mean, not few years, like around 8-10 years ago, up till that time, in my mind, I always thought it was only the men who do that. Like, they have a wife at home and they have a fling outside, or they have this extramarital affair, and they always do this. And this is something that yes, men do. But then I like found out so many realities that I didn't know, that women do also do that. It's not only men. So they have a husband, a loving husband, but they might fall, like shaitan will tempt them into doing something wrong and having those extramarital affairs. Women have them too. So this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided us with something halal, and we are trying to find something outside of that halal boundary and doing something haram. So the first thing is to protect our haya, to protect our privacy, and to enjoy our spouses. And at that time, because it was allowed for a master to have that relationship with their slave, that's why this ayah says you're allowed to. But this does not apply now, because there's no concept of slave and master in Islam right now. So this does not apply now. Nobody can take advantage of this ayah, this part of the ayah, and they say, no, no, I have my slave, so I can have any kind of physical relationship with that. No, it doesn't apply now. It was for that time. But whoever seeks beyond that, then those are the transgressors, as I already explained. People who don't get satisfied with the halal options, they go outside and they look for something outside of marriage, outside of that halal relationship. So, of course, they will not be able to fall into the category of a muminoon. Then that means you're still struggling. If somebody's struggling and they don't even realize what they're doing is wrong, they will keep on doing it. And one thing is for sure, having extra marital affairs. I think, like, whether you're a Muslim or a non-Muslim, everyone sees that relationship as wrong. There's no society in the world, as far as I know, that will accept it, or they say that it's okay, it's fine. Nobody. It is looked down upon. Nobody likes it. So I was listening to Nawan Ali Khan, and he mentioned that that this ayah, he said that I truly understood the meaning through a Catholic company, like it was a business. I don't remember the name he was mentioning. He said that their policy was that if somebody was found cheating on their spouse, they will lose their job. And the reason they give is that somebody who lives with you 24/7, you are not trustworthy for them. How can we trust you as an employer? So they will just let them go. And this is so true, that if you are not faithful to your husband or to your wife, somebody that you spend most of your time, somebody who looks after you or somebody who loves you, then how are you going to be truthful in any other relationship? And they who are to their trusts and their promises attentive. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَأَهْدِهِمْ رَاعِنُونَ. Ra'inun, again, it is a noun. Ra'i is somebody, is basically, the root means a shepherd. Just like a shepherd looks after its sheep, there's a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu, I'm just like paraphrasing it, that everyone is going to be answerable for their, what they were made a shepherd for. So whatever responsibility was, for example, a husband is the head of the family, he will be asked about his family, how he treated them, what he did for them, and how they behaved, and what he did about that. The women who are supposed to look after the kids most of the time, because the husband is working outside, that was the basic framework. So she will be answerable. And then if she was supposed to look after the husband's property, when he's not home, the house is his property, she's supposed to look after it. Did she look after it or not? So everyone will have somebody that they, or something that they will be answerable for. And amana means somebody, and amana can be in the physical form. Let's say somebody gave you some money to keep and you kept it, and when they asked for it and you gave it back. Some people don't do that, or they will use that money, or they will lose it, and they will say, no, no, you didn't give it to me. And then it can be in the form of a secret that somebody told you, and they ask you not to tell anyone. It is an amana, and you keep that promise, so you're good. If you're not, then you can't be the ultimate mu'minun that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. People should be able to trust you. If they, even if they tell you something really small, they can trust you that you won't say it to somebody else. You're going to keep that amana that they gave you. And they who carefully maintain their prayers. You see how in the second ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, use the word khashiyun, that they are fearful. That was some, like in each and every salah of there, they were fearful. And here, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. And the scholar says salawatihim, meaning that basically what is in between salahs, meaning your sunnahs or your nawafil or the azkar you do. So because if you take care, hifadha means to protect. If you protect or you make sure you, even if you're not like always praying your sunnah, but you're regularly praying your sunnah. So if somebody is taking care of their sunnah or the volunteer prayers, or they're taking care of their azkar, or they're taking care of the in between the prayers that they can pray other than the obligatory, then of course they're going to take care of their obligatory prayers. And I see many people doing the opposite. So I know people, they are very good in praying the voluntary voluntary prayers. They are very good. Some waking up at night, or in Ramadan, the extra prayers that Taraweeh they will pray, but they are very, very slacking. They are slacking in their fard salah. It doesn't make sense. Fard has to come first. You will be asked about the fard, the obligation first, then about the voluntary prayers or the adhkar or whatever. So this is something sometimes we get it wrong. See, this is mentioned later on, ayah number 9, and that is mentioned ayah number 2. Khashiyun in their salah. So they focus on their obligatory salah. So of course we need to have khushu in all the salahs, like whether it's voluntary or fard. But this ayah includes all the extra that we can do. And they say that if we continuously like leave our sunnahs, that is also not good, because sunnah is, what is sunnah? Sunnah is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed those salahs that we call sunnah or nafil. So we are just ignoring them forever. That means we are ignoring the sunnah of our prophet. And that can't be a very good thing. We can leave them, but if we continuously ignore them, then that can't be good. أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. Those are the inheritors. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have said this whole thing together, these two ayahs, but he just, just to create, like give it more importance and create suspense, that they are the ones who are the inheritors. Warithun, again, noun, permanent inheritors. Of what? Who will inherit al-Firdaus. Firdaus is the highest level of Jannah. And we should all make dua. Whenever we ask for Jannah, we should make dua for Firdaus. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying they are going to be the inheritors of Firdaus. They will abide therein eternally. They will never be taken out of that Firdaus, that part of Jannah. They will always reside in there. And who are these people? All these qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listed for us. What we can do, like a practical thing, is to make a list of certain habits that we need to adopt, and make a list of certain habits we need to give up, and start working on them one by one. As long as we are making a conscious effort or of working upon them, we are all good, inshallah ta'ala. It's sometimes we are finding it hard to pray the 5 prayers. So we work on the 5 prayers first. Then we can work on the extras, the sunnahs, the nawafil, the azkar, we can work on them. So we are finding it hard to do a complete hijab. So we can start by wearing loose clothes that cover me properly, clothes that don't show my body shape. Then we can take it from there. Sometimes let's say people who are really very comfortable or are in a habit of going to mixed gatherings, or they're very comfortable talking to the opposite gender, where we can start, okay, I will talk, but I'm going to try and cut it down a bit, or I'm going to try and cut down my laughing, or like having small talks, or just being very casual. So step by step by step, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expect what he expects from us is taking those small steps towards him. He doesn't want, he knows he created us. He knows we're not perfect. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to be taken to in the wrong direction by shaitan. Shaitan is always there. And I am a human being. I have, and especially the young people, they have those hormones going on. So it's all like we need to accept. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that we will have these struggles. That's why he gave us this checklist, okay? You need to focus on this, to take it step by step by step. And this is all in the Quran. I've mentioned it before. He mentions, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. Amanu and amilu salihat. Amanu means people who have believed and who do righteous deeds. He did not say anywhere in the Quran that you have to do this much good deeds for you to be successful. He gave us all the qualities of a mu'min, of a muttaqi person, and we just need to work on it. Getting there slowly and steadily. Even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prefers that we do something steadily, meaning one habit you adopt and you do it consistently, rather than you, for example, you read 2 juz one day and then the whole week you don't read anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prefer that I read, even if it's 2 ayahs, but I'm reading it every day. That is a better, that's a preferred way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes in us. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to adopt all these qualities that he has mentioned. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just make it easy for everyone, whatever struggles we might have, may Allah make it easy for us to overcome those hurdles. Everyone will have their own battles. Everyone will have their own struggles. We can't judge anyone. Like everyone will have their own way of doing things. As long as they're doing it within the limits and boundaries described in the Quran and the Sunnah, it's all good, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm going to end here, my part here. And if anyone wants to add anything, or you want to ask anything or anything, the floor is open.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the khushu in salah. I find that I really struggle with that. Like focusing my salah. I feel like Fajr time and Isha time, I'm able to, but during the day I have my little ones, especially my 2-year-old. He's jumping on me while I pray. He's throwing things at me. He's all this stuff, all that stuff. I don't really know how to get there with focusing and finding khushu in my salah. Is there any tips or anything?
So, yeah, you are right. So Fajr, I know they're sleeping, and Isha time they're sleeping, so you are able to focus more. And always remember one thing. So, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, sometimes he will be praying like his salah, and his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, they will come and they will get on his back. And he will not get up from sajda till they were on his back. Like he will just let them do whatever they're doing. Or they will just hang like from his neck or something like that. So he will let them do. So you have a young child at home. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how hard, if there's nobody who can look after the child when you're praying, then Allah knows. So as much as you can focus, try to read it a bit louder so that you can hear in your ear. Once, if we read the surahs louder, I find for myself, I feel that I can focus a bit better than when I'm reading it in my heart. Like at least your lips have to move anyways. If the lips are not moving, salah will be invalid. So you have to move your lips, but read it a bit louder and see if that works for you. Or if somebody can look look after your child while you're praying, then that's a better option. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And inshallah, once they get older, it becomes easier.
Yeah, no, I do agree with the saying it out loud because because I try to whisper it, and then if they're around they can hear me as well, but when
Yeah.
they start getting really loud, like when my little one gets really loud, I do find if I say it a little bit louder, I can listen to myself say it and stay focused. But it's
Yes.
like times like when I'm going into sajda and he's just there, or they just lie down in front of me, I don't know where
Yeah.
to go down. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
okay. You can just
yeah.
gently move them a bit and do your sajda. It's fine. It's totally fine. It is okay. And Allah knows, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you for that because it's hard for you, but you're still praying. So
Yeah.
that is fine, inshallah.
Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else wants to add anything? We still have 10 minutes. Okay. Uh, so inshallah, what I think, if you girls have time, try to go through these ayahs once more in your free time. Any translation will do, and just maybe make a checklist for yourself and put it somewhere so that you can refer back to it again and again. It will give you some hope. So one thing at a time. Try to work on one thing at a time, and inshallah ta'ala, and always remember one thing, that no matter what we do, we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help. Without his help, we it's impossible to achieve anything. So we continuously need to make dua. We have to make dua to him for whatever we are doing at that time, or for whatever we need to do. Just make dua, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make it easy for me, and then just try working on one thing at a time. And inshallah, he does make it easy for us. It's him who makes it happen. It's not us. Never start depending on yourself that, okay, I am going to do this. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is going to make it easy, and we will be able to do it at that time. So just, we need to show patience with ourselves as well. We need to give ourselves some space too. Sometimes we are very harsh with ourselves. We need to give space. Well, if nobody has any comments or any questions, we can end the class here, inshallah ta'ala. Um, and yeah. Okay. Let me just.
Thank you very much,
No
Priya,
problem.
Sister Priya.
No problem. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين. So Jazakallah khairan, everyone.